Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. And with iLLeY back in practice for the OpTic Texas guys these last few days, we do have an update from OpTic on how exactly it has been going in their scrims. Dashy reckons that iLLeY's stam is feeling an awful lot better, and Scump reckons they've not missed a beat since iLLeY has stepped back into the lineup, performing just as well as they were before we had to unfortunately step away. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. Really up to the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that one. Plenty to discuss today. Firstly, just wanted to dive into this, as Nadeshot says, we might have looked at this, well, we looked at this a few weeks ago now, that 100 Thieves are planning to create their own game. This kind of like an X-Defiant type situation that they can say, well, move into what seems to be the FPS market. I'm not sure they said it quite in this video. They're bringing people on board though, they've got experience, know what they're doing in terms of actually building games, and I think it's a really cool idea, because we've seen the way the Call of Duty's gone, the way that it's been handled by Activision and the development teams. It's not really what we would like to see, right? So Nadeshot, like I'm sure this is going to be a PC-focused shooter, you would imagine, but yeah, still, who knows if it's going to have a viable competitive scene. That I'm sure is what they're going for, and Nadeshot does say it is going to be a shooter game. Doesn't it specify, I'm pretty sure, FPS, but like I'm sure it's going to be some sort of FPS, you would imagine. But good stuff from 100 Thieves, continuing to kind of push the boat out there of kind of what's possible for esports organizations to actually, well, make their own game, make their own shooter title. I think that's an exciting one to keep up on. I wanted to mention this real quick, just because I don't know how much of this stuff is actually going to be used in competitive, or like in multiplayer in general, rather than just Warzone. But just look at some of the stuff that's on this article right here. So this is movement stuff. Now, there was some mention actually that you can effectively like slide into prone or something like that, so I'm sure Cellium's going to have a good time with it. But look at all this stuff you can do in this game. Ladders, ropes, shifting, strafing, wall climbing, ledge hanging, sliding, like, well, apparently, yeah, you can slide into a prone position, as well as slide it down angled inclines and slopes faster than you normally would be able to. That's rather interesting. I think we saw that in Infinite Warfare, actually. It was kind of a common thing. If you slid down a slope, you slid much faster than you normally would. It's like, we'll see about that. Bunny hopping, we've got like all sorts of other stuff in the game. So, I mean, yeah, just look at some of this stuff. Ledge hanging, like, look, I don't know if it's actually going to be usable in multiplayer, but, you know, still something that I'm sure Cellium and some of the movement gods are going to keep their eyes very closely peeled to. Just wanted to mention real quick as well, just because the Halo scene is such a mess, honestly. Like, it's so strange why they have, like, no events ever. Like, I think the next event is in September or something, but it's still every week or so they're doing some of these tournaments. Not sure why the quality is dreadful. It's classic Twitter video quality. You guys know how it is. But OpTic managed to go back-to-back in these kind of online tourneys. They take down the Cloud9 guys in the final. Formula gets the job done, won the last Pro Series and all this type of stuff. So yeah, till next time, he says, because it's a rather long time until he's actually going to play anything again in an actual proper Halo tournament, because, I mean, yeah, there's this online stuff, but it's ages till there's actual events. So not really sure what they're playing out over there. Thankfully, the Call of Duty League is somewhat more condensed, but as we looked at yesterday, right, the off-season is still massive, and they've certainly got to think about shortening that one going forwards. But let's discuss iLLeY then, right? So people were spotting him playing ranked play again, getting back into business. The rumor had it that he kind of had whatever it was in his thumb. Zuma said it was assist, maybe it wasn't assist, whatever. He'd had the fluid drained, has been, well, that's basically what OpTic is saying themselves, had the procedure. Dashy says he had the fluid drained, and now he's feeling good again. Now, whether this actually requires some sort of further kind of treatment down the line, that's another question entirely. If anything goes to plan, it's going to be all okay and good to go. And iLLeY believes, I'm pretty sure he had the treatment, had the procedure, and then left it a week to recover, and now, like, and now he's back in business, right? He's back in their practice. They've been killing it, at least according to Scump, as we'll see here in a second. And Prolute pretty much believes from his POV that, yeah, he's out for the rest of the season, right? If they do need him again, they are going to keep him on the substitute bench. Like, I was wondering whether teams would kind of build the line of OpTic and say, look, Prolute, like, we want to get this guy in. Can you effectively let him go? But I'm sure OpTic would have said, look, okay, maybe we'll just keep him to the end of the year anyway, because they know full well that Prolute is the best substitute they've had in quite some time, fits the team great. If there's anyone that's most likely to have to step out of the team, if anything recurs, it probably would be iLLeY, right? And Prolute did a very respectable job stepping into the team during the period that they had. So I'm sure they want to keep him on for the short term. Now, if another organization had come along and said, okay, we want Prolute, we'll pay X amount of money, I wonder how that would have gone. But he's still going to be there on the bench for at least the rest of the season. They have pretty much said as well that next year, if Prolute does get an offer, they will, you know, let him go, right, let him have his career elsewhere, which is generally a Hex thing to do and an OpTic thing to do regardless, rather than extending him or whatever. But well, as Prolute says, free agent for challenges, down to run a sub or an AR, let me know, right? So Prolute effectively confirming he's done with OpTic. That's a kind of that chapter done of his career so far, and now he's going to move on down to challenges again and then try and get a spot next season. Certainly think he proved that he can be a very valuable asset to a team, but probably, at least as things go as planned, won't be required for OpTic for the rest of this year. He also just tweeted this one out as well, just a few minutes before I started to record this video. But of course, iLLeY back in business, whether that can of course maintain in the long term, hopefully it will be able to. But they believe, the rumor has it from Dashy as well, that iLLeY is feeling much better in and of his thumb, like it's feeling much better than it was before. He reckons it's pretty much fixed, at least for now. Like, as we say, hopefully it doesn't recur. And iLLeY even retweets this, right, when we see all systems go for the World Championship. championship. Just the fact that he retweeted this seems to me that he's pretty confident that he's actually going to be able to be good enough to attend this event with the team very soon indeed. Now, they believe iLLeY's back. I'll show a couple of clips here. Firstly, from the podcast where Dashi's talking about it last night and saying that, okay, look, iLLeY, like, he took a couple of weeks off, but now they're getting back into scrims. He's ready to go again. He's feeling good. He reckons the thumb's feeling much better than it was before. He's been wanting and raring to go for quite some time. He's now back in business. The other clip as well is from Scump saying that effectively reacting to how some of their practice has been going, implying that it might have actually been somewhat better than he anticipated it to be, saying that they've effectively not missed a beat at all, and they're still absolutely frying as they were before.
Working? You got in here kind of early. What's your sleeping schedule looking like?
No one knows. I don't even know what it is. It's just whenever I feel tired, I go to bed. But like honestly, we're starting to scrim tomorrow, so now I'm getting back on the sketch.
Got it.
Ender's actually testing it out tomorrow.
Hey, let's go with that.
Yeah, we're scrimming for the first time tomorrow, and then he said he's like, but Ender said that he's like, well, he got his fluid removed from his thumb, something like that, and now he said he's good to go tomorrow, which is we're gonna give it a go.
Come back to Texas.
But yeah,
he is.
Like tomorrow.
I thought he was already here, to be honest. But
is he here yet?
He's been gone for kind of a while, dude.
Where's Paige? Is she here?
Yeah,
anyway,
I haven't seen Ender in a long time.
It's been
it's been a tough situation for him. I bet. Obviously, like
he wants to play.
I'm gonna tell you. I don't know if I said this already, but I'm gonna tell you how I know that this dude just cannot wait. We were backstage, and these guys were obviously on stage. We were in the dugout, and I'm looking. And I saw some Warzone commercial. I'm like, man, I miss playing Call of Duty, man. And he's like, yeah, me too. And I look at him and I'm like, no, but you really miss it. He's like, yeah, dude, it's the best. And I'm like, all right, this dude's ready.
Yeah, he loves COD. Like, if him being out is the worst person, I guess you could say, in the league to be out, just because like he's the one guy that's actually feeding to play every day. Actually, every day.
He feels the mobility is back. Not that it ever went away, but the mobility is there without any pain.
He said it feels really good.
Yeah, but we have to take that with a grain of salt, right? Because we know how much he loves Call of Duty, and we know that he would do anything and everything to come back.
Yeah, but like he said,
really.
Was iLLeY looking good? Yeah, dude. Like I said, man, playing with Ender again, it was like we didn't miss a beat. I'm not even kidding. Like it was right back into it. People don't understand how crucial and valuable Ender is to the team, man. You don't understand. You don't get it, man.
So it's good to see this confidence, I think, from Scump and the team in general that are bringing iLLeY back here is definitely putting them back on a good path, because that was a bit of a concern, right? With this OpTic team in general, that, okay, when iLLeY does come back, will he be able to perform at the same level? We've seen what happened with Gunless, right? Like, he comes back into the team, doesn't quite perform as well as he has done so far. Like at the start of the season, for example, like it comes back into matches, like doesn't really do as well as we've seen this stage, ends up getting benched again, right? And of course, the pressure is going to be on iLLeY when the matches do come back into business to actually execute and play particularly well. The team's certainly going to need him to, because that's now back-to-back top sixes. That's what happened with Prolute at Major 3, happened with iLLeY and Venice at Major 2, but even then he said he was starting to experience some discomfort. So if he's feeling good, if he reckons the thumb is effectively fixed, then he should be able to get back to his best theoretically, and that is what OpTic are going to need, right? But just the fact that they were heading back into scrims and pretty much immediately hitting levels that they were kind of hitting before, effectively feeling like how the team was before, kind of goes to show that they're probably winning their scrims, having a pretty good map result, because pretty sure they were winning most of their scrims against pretty much everyone they played anyway. So I'm sure they're feeling pretty confident that that's exactly what's going to happen going forward as well. Now, we wanted to look at their schedule here going into Major 4, because their first game is relatively easy theoretically up against Boston, especially if Boston don't make any changes. Like, Boston are always a good bet to lose a series like this. They pretty much lose to everyone who's actually any good, like OpTic, FaZe, whatever. Boston are going to lose to them 90% of the time. Like, you can never predict anything really in Vanguard, right? But if they don't make a change, OpTic should pretty much be favorites in this series. Theoretically, they could come in here and get a bit of a warm-up, at least as far as iLLeY is concerned. They play Minnesota that weekend as well. That's a more challenging game for sure. Minnesota online have been looking rather good as of late. So OpTic don't have the easiest schedule in the world, but generally it's definitely better than it could have been. I mean, they play Boston here, they play Minnesota, Rokkr. Next weekend they then play Paris, right? I'm pretty sure. So yeah, Paris on Saturday, July the 2nd. So that should be a victory, right? I'm not really sure their new team is going to be that much better than the one they currently have. They play Paris in their final week of games. Actually, they play the Subliners that weekend as well. That is obviously going to be far from easy, but it does depend what New York are looking like at that point, because New York at this point, if let's say New York at this point are like 0-2 or whatever, like 1-2, however it might be, they're pretty much chalked for champs at that point. It's not guaranteed, but I'm sure mentally, if they have a bad start here to the qualifiers, like they're going to have a tough time regaining, especially against a team like OpTic. But in fairness, last time out, New York did actually beat OpTic, right? They beat them in the stage 3 qualifiers, which is big for them, but of course they had Prolute at the time, OpTic, instead of iLLeY, and they full well believe that iLLeY will be better in this roster than they were with Prolute. And of course, it's a great redemption arc in theory, right? Like the idea that OpTic could start the season out very strong, win Major Major 1, like have a difficult time at Major 2, then kind of go through these trials and tribulations. We've got iLLeY coming out of the team, the injuries that go through, like they have to suffer with the substitutes, kind of struggling through, doing some decent results, but nothing crazy, and then kind of iLLeY comes back and they get the full redemption. Like, I'm sure they're thinking about what that could be like for the legacy of the season, but of course, well, they've got to execute first of all, and their final matches against Toronto, right? So that's far from an easy one, but yeah, a couple of easy games here, a couple of more challenging games, but definitely not as hard of a return as it could have been for OpTic and iLLeY in this roster, of course. Wonder if they can actually have a chance of winning Major 4 though, right? It's going to be tough to do. I just wonder what the rest of the season looks like, because when we look at these teams, we've got the Los Angeles Guerrillas, the Toronto Ultra, of course, the Seattle Surge, OpTic, New York Subliners. They've all won an event so far this year, some event or another, either the Kickoff Classic, the Pro-Am, or one of the majors so far. And of course, well, some of the teams haven't, but like, surely we're going to get a repeat winner at some point, but it's far from guaranteed, because even all these teams have won, FaZe haven't even won anything yet, right? So kind of incredible to think about. I'm sure FaZe are going to win something, like they're surely going to win one of the final 2 events this season, the way they're looking as of late. If anyone can get 2 victories though, the way things have gone this season, OpTic of course are a team that has a chance of doing so. I think that would be very impressive indeed. So we'll see how of course things progress. Wanted to mention this as well here, this is kind of Bryce's power rankings. Can't believe Paris didn't get an NA, I guess because they were 12th or whatever, so they never actually went up and down, so it doesn't really matter too much for them. But these were his power rankings going into Major 4. Of course, FaZe here at number 1. I feel like in the midfield, it's actually a pretty good rankings. I quite like the way, like Thieves, Rokkr, Subliners, Mutineers, Ravens, Breach Guerrillas, I'm pretty sure that is all correct. That's how I would do it from 5th down to 12th. I feel like the only one that I would probably dispute is Toronto over OpTic. I feel like as of yet, Toronto haven't done quite enough to prove that they're the better team than OpTic. I don't think they've beaten them yet. And also, like, especially with OpTic having iLLeY back, right? Like, you'd think that OpTic still for now should be given the kind of edge over Toronto, because Toronto looked great, it must be said, throughout Major 3. Got a great result there, and Major 2 as well, they looked pretty good towards the end of it. But as yet, I don't think they've quite done enough to overtake OpTic in my rankings, but I would still take FaZe 1, Surge 2, OpTic 3 right now. You guys might, of course, disagree with that one. And just to mention this, actually, kind of surprising, because I saw this, and I thought this is so obvious, but I know that some people either forget or they weren't even watching for that long in Call of Duty. Quick question, who won Major 2 last year? Answer, of course, being the Toronto Ultra. They took down FaZe 5-2, I think it was, or maybe it was 5-3 in the Grand Finals. In the only Grand Finals defeat that FaZe actually had last year, of course, so far this year, they're 0-3. Last year, they were 4-1 in Grand Finals, but back in it, well, with a different team in Modern Warfare, they were 2-5. Their Grand Finals record not looking particularly good in the CDL era. This from Drazah as well, just to mention, like, well, he's having a hard time again with the ping situation over there in Los Angeles. Do wonder again what this means for their online qualifiers, right? Because they did certainly talk about, they do seem to be a better team on LAN, it must be said. When the Los Angeles Thieves go to LAN, their results do get marginally better, but they're not a great team, I think, in either setting. But it's certainly a story to keep your eye on, because as well, things progress during Stage 3, we certainly got some talk about servers and the like from some of the Los Angeles Thieves guys in some of those controversial series. But very much enjoyed your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit on the like button, told you YouTube gods, it's a good video, and I was like you should see it as well, and I hope grow the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you guys as always, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time.